Australia. The drill-ready advanced gold project is surrounded by exploratory and producing companies, and recent drill results recorded were 3.6 metres at 16.8 grams per tonne gold, including 2.5 metres at 24.27 grams per tonne gold. So, Phil, what can you tell us about this? I understand it's had a lot of exploration in the past. There's some historic shafts there, but for you, it's almost starting again.
Yeah, it is. Look, there's so much activity been going on in the past, all the way back to 1900, where they took out 2,700 ounces of gold at 7.3 grams per tonne, and then the BHP and Western Mining got involved with some joint ventures in 1931-32, and they sank some shafts down. Then 86, 89, Western Mining Corporation recognised the potential for high-grade mineralisation associated with quartz reefs, which are literally everywhere over. Probably I've walked 40 square kilometres, and it's everywhere. And of course, the magnetic units that fall along the Kingston Landsborough trend have gold outcropping everywhere as well. So we've got a really good fault system. We've got a great magnetic trend that holds scale deposits, and Hume Mining and Western Mining intersected 1 metre at 15 grams per tonne. So we know, and 2 metres at 24.8 grams per tonne from that Kingston mine area, which we don't own. Another prospector owns it, but it's only 5 hectares, which is 150 metres by 300 metres. So it's quite a small area. And we cut a deal with them that if they mine into our exploration licence, we get 15% of the gold. And if they don't do it, then we know not to go there. If they do go in, then that's fine. We'll get paid for it. So it's a win-win either way for us. Western Mining in the 80s got really excited, and they put down 213 percussion reverse circ holes, and they got 23 grams per tonne and 40 grams per tonne, but mostly in that prospect licence area where we don't have it. So if you walk across the road out of their area and up into our exploration area, and this is broken up into 2 big blocks. I'm really just talking about the northern block at the moment, but the southern block, we drove through that the other day and took some soil samples and bits and pieces, and there's once again quartz everywhere. So it's real gold country because of this Landsborough fault. And Navarre's been the last big name that's been in there. They got 3.1 metres at 29.5 grams per tonne near the concession in this quartz breccia that is on the hanging wall side of the quartz lode structure. And that's what we're really chasing. So our plan of attack will be do some IP work, some geophysics, and see if we can define these quartz structures, the breccia structures, and basically put some holes down. And we'll probably try and drill under some of the old mine shafts, which if you have a look at our press releases and website, you can see pictures of them, and drill underneath them and try and follow the plunge and pick it up from there. So it's kind of where do we start? There's so many choices. There's been lots of gold found, so we know there's other material as the bodies extend and the lodes extend. Just a matter of trying to hit the richest one first, which is always a challenge.
Okay. And why did you take this project on then, Phil? If there's so much historical shafts there, that might suggest that it's been sort of exploited already, but clearly you perhaps feel there is more to be found.
Oh, there is. And the exploited area is literally 2 or 3 square kilometres. It's not a big area. This is 167. So, and there are other showings elsewhere that, people have just done rock chip sampling on. So we think because of the structure, and we always look at the structural geology before we get involved in buying or bidding for these sorts of things. And we want to make sure that there's been a Western Mining or a BHP or a Xstrata or a Rio Tinto has been sniffing around, because they generally spend a couple of $1 million on research before they go in. So if they've been in there, you know that they've been looking at a model that's stood up to some scrutiny. And that's always been a successful model for me over the past 40 years of exploration. And that Landsborough fault is a real pipeline for solutions. So while there's a big concentration of shafts in a relatively small area, we think that that's just the tip of the iceberg, because you've got to remember the old guys just had no idea of what the structure was like. They just saw gold on the surface and down they'd go. If they saw some quartz reefing on the surface, down they'd go. They really had no other way of testing it, except they used, rather than doing drill holes, they used shafts. So clearly there's been something there.
Okay. And then what's the roadmap for this project then, Phil? What are you going to be doing?
Okay, well, we've got to do some detailed soil sampling in the areas of interest, and we'll basically do some sampling in a broader area to cover the whole 167 square kilometres, which I must say we're blessed because there's roads everywhere right through it, and part of it is Crown land, so we don't have private agreements to enter into to go on and do this low intrusion exploration. Once we've done the soil sampling, we'll map that. We'll then do the IP survey, and that'll give us a sense of what's happening on the surface and what's happening underneath. And then we'll basically pick some gold targets, and off we go. We'll start drilling, and we'll probably drill underneath some of these existing shafts if the soil sampling looks promising. And there's also been some work done by Navarre, I think it was, with some hyperspectral satellite work as well. So all of this information gets pulled together, and then Dennis and I sit down, our chief geologist, and figure out where we're going to put the holes in.
Okay. Well, Phil Thomas, there, the CEO of AIS Resources, thank you for taking the time to talk to us about the Kingston Gold Project in Victoria, Australia.